Today we are going to talk about a topic which can give rise to life-threatening problems in children. This is a problem when something like a foreign body or a small nut or a small toy goes into the airway of a child. By the airway, we mean the breathing mechanism which starts at the nose, the mouth, then through the breathing windpipe into the lungs. Now, if this little object, which is, let us say, a peanut or a small piece of a toy or a battery, goes into this area of a child, then it can block the windpipe or it can block one of the tubes leading to the lungs, which causes a life-threatening problem. So the first thing that you need to understand is which are the children who are usually affected by this. These are usually very small children between the age of 6 months to 3 years. This is the time when children start to be able to move around on their own and they have what is called an oral orientation. They love putting everything in their mouth. They want to taste it, they want to feel it with their mouths. So they pick up anything that is lying around in the house, and if it is particularly small, there is a risk that instead of chewing it, they will actually aspirate or inhale it into their airway. Also, children in this age group do not have a lot of teeth, so they cannot actually grind down anything hard that is given to them in their mouths. So that is also another risk for inhalation or aspiration of a foreign body. That is why we recommend that children between the age of 6 months to 3 years should not be given any dry fruits, should be kept away from children which have small parts. And this is very important because if a child does actually inhale one of these things, it can lead to potentially life-threatening problems. More commonly, what typically happens, say when a piece of nut or dal or something like that goes into the airway, the child has a choking spell. That means the child starts coughing violently, trying to put out the foreign body. The child may turn blue at this time, and if you're lucky, then the child will settle down, maybe sometimes with the foreign body still inside. Subsequently, the children continue to have episodes of coughing, difficulty in breathing, and this is the stage at which we see most children when they are brought to our hospital. Unfortunately, there aren't too many places where these problems can be tackled on an emergency basis. In our hospital, however, we have both the equipment and the personnel to look after children who have inhaled a foreign body. We admit these children usually in the intensive care, and then we take them to theatre, and once we have them under anesthesia, we look into their airway with special instruments which I will show you, and then if there is something in the airway, we are able to pull the foreign bodies out, and then the child goes back to being relatively normal. The most important thing though is to avoid this happening in the first place. And that is why when there is a small child in the house, again and again we are repeating this, you must make effort to make the house child proof so that the child does not have these small things to put in their mouths. This requires a little bit of care, but with a little bit of practice it can be achieved, and we hope with this message the incidence of foreign bodies aspiration in children will actually reduce. In our country, the incidence is very high, particularly in the winters when it is peanut season and people use peanuts and they give them unthinkingly to these small children. So we hope that with this message, we will be able to start the process of reducing the incidence of this life-threatening emergency in children. Yeah, this is a small collection of foreign bodies that are typically seen within the airway of children. The most common, of course, is organic foreign bodies, such as a cotyledon of a peanut. We get lots of nuts, we get dal particles, we get cashew nuts, etc. So these are the most common. More rarely we have these little pieces. For example, this is the end of a cap of a pen. This is the back of a pen. This is a drawing board pin which had been aspirated by a child. So we get a wide variety of foreign bodies. Most of them though are organic, and most of these are troublesome. So this is a bronchoscope. This is the sheath that goes into the airway, and this is a special instrument which is then introduced into this sheath, and the foreign body can then be removed. And this instrument is then introduced and the foreign body is grasped, and then everything is removed. Thank you.